This is the time of year when I always have to fight the sun coming through those windows. The sun like shines bright on my white pages, and then when I look up at all you, it's like black, like I can't see anything. So we'll see how we do this. It'll probably move as I'm speaking. So I had been trying to get my youngest son to watch a movie with me for quite a long time. It was actually a sequel, and we had watched the first movie together, and we liked it, and so I was like, why don't you want to watch the second movie? And so every time I asked it, he was like, nah, not right now. And so I just kept asking, and he wasn't interested. And so finally, just a couple weeks ago, I asked him again, do you want to watch this movie? And he's like, okay, fine. So the plot of the movie was building and building and building, and it really felt like we were getting to something big. Like at some point we were going to get to this big thing that we had been waiting for, until we finally got to, like, right to that big part that we had been waiting for, and then to be continued. What? That's the movie? Like, there was nothing there. Like, the whole movie was just build up and then nothing. And so we were stunned. And then we quickly looked up, like, well, when is the third one coming out? June 2027. 2 years? Dad, I knew I shouldn't watch this movie with you. Why did you make me watch this movie? Don't blame me, blame Hollywood. The same thing happened to my oldest son and I a year ago when we went to the Mission Impossible movie. Somehow we missed the title at the beginning that said Part 1. Like, we went through the whole thing, and then it was like, what? Fortunately, we only had to wait a year for that. And to make sure that all of my kids are included in this sermon, my daughter and I have been waiting almost 3 years for the second season of Wednesday, as in Wednesday Addams. Whew. In general, I don't know about you, but I struggle with interruptions. Psalm 77. With my voice, I cried out. With my voice to God, that God might hear me. In the day of my trouble, I seek the Lord. In the night, tears from my eyes flow without stopping. My soul refuses comfort. I call God to mind and I groan. I speak and my spirit faints. Selah. I was at an interfaith gathering earlier this week in Echo Park with some friends and colleagues from Christianity and from Judaism and from Islam. Some of these friends I haven't seen in a while, and so without exception, when I asked each of them how they were doing, they said, that was their response, like, life is a lot. One of these friends lost their church in the fires. 2 others, a Jewish woman and a Muslim woman, together lead an organization that brings Jews and Muslims together for honest discussions and conversations over food, over a meal. And can you imagine doing this work like in relative times of peace? Let alone right now with everything that is happening in Israel and in Palestine and now in Iran. Many of the other clergy have been on the front lines protesting the raids by ICE and working with Hispanic families who don't know where their loved ones have been taken. I mean, just saying all of this out loud makes me so sad and angry. Selah. I started reading this new book called Good Soil recently by Jeff Chu, actually Reverend Jeff Chu. He's a friend. He preached here, I don't know, about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that. And he's such a good writer and storyteller that I just wanted to keep reading without any interruptions. Just sit down and go chapter by chapter by chapter. But for some reason, each chapter, the way that the book is formatted, there are these extra large gaps between some of the paragraphs, just some of the paragraphs in each chapter, which seems sort of unusual. But anytime I got to one of these gaps as I was reading, I started unintentionally pausing just for a moment. And then in these gaps, I started to close my eyes and just take a deep breath. And then in these pauses, I started to notice that what I had just read, like the previous few paragraphs, offered something more if I wasn't rushing on so quickly. Selah. So going back to the TV show about the death-obsessed teenage girl attending a school for outcasts and monsters, 3 years ago, this was sort of the beginning of shows that were streaming that didn't allow you to binge the entire season all at once. Do you remember when this started happening? We hated that. We were so frustrated that every week we had to wait for the next episode to come out. But what happened, looking back on it, is that my daughter and I got to share in this experience of excitement and anticipation as the week went along. Plus, the break between episodes gave us time to talk in depth about each show and not just the whole season all at once. What did you think about that? What did you think about that episode? Who do you think the monster is? Dad, let's see if I can teach you how to do the dance that Wednesday does at the ball. She was not successful, but we tried because we had a whole week before the next show came on. So looking back, taking a break, waiting a week offered us something more than just a good story or a good show. Selah. Hebrew scholar Robert Alter says, there is no way for us to know what Selah means, which is sort of hilarious for a scholar to admit that there's no way for us to know what something means. Many think that it's a musical note or a musical notation. Others may be an indication for the worship leader or the cantor as they're reading to take a pause. So in Psalm 77, to pause in the midst of the exhausting struggles of the psalmist's life. To pause and allow ourselves to feel the weight of life. To pause and maybe take a break from the doom scrolling and the podcasts and the news filled with endless stories of injustice and greed and cruelty. To just take a moment. Perhaps there's more to be gained by learning to pause. After the first Selah, or maybe in the pause of that Selah, the psalmist says in verse 6, I ponder the days of yore, the years gone by. I call to mind my song in the night. To my own heart I speak, and my spirit inquires, questions. It's really hard to pay attention to what's happening in our inner world when we keep rushing on. So the psalmist asks us, what in this moment is your heart saying to you? What are the questions that your spirit is asking? After that moment of meditation, in verse 11, the psalmist continues, I call to mind the acts of the Lord. I remember your wonders of old. I meditate or I recite all your work. I muse on or rehearse your acts. Your way, O God, is holy. Who is a great God like God? You are the God working wonders. You have made known among the peoples your strength. With your strong arm, you redeemed your people, the children of Jacob and Joseph. Selah. The waters saw you, O God. The waters saw you, and they were afraid. The depths themselves trembled. The clouds poured out water. The skies thundered. Your arrows flashed on every side. The crash of your thunder was under your wheels. Your lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and shook. Your way was through the sea. Your path through the mighty waters, yet your footprints were unknown. You led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. In the midst of injustice and suffering or even just personal struggle, we may not want to slow down, because there in the pause is usually the pain. There in the pause is the tears and the anger and the frustration, a lot of things that we just would prefer not to deal with. But there in the pause, as the psalmist writes, we sometimes remember stories of justice and healing and love. In this particular psalm, he remembers the story of God rescuing his people from slavery, guiding them through the waters into freedom. A story of redemption for him and for his community. Sometimes we discover in the pause the resources that we need to be refreshed and encouraged when life is a lot. So that when we return to our lives and to our relationships and to our world, we can keep fighting for what we believe in. So that when we return to our lives and our relationship and our world, we can keep investing in the things that matter most to us. Selah.